This is On the Porch, RVA, where every episode features observers discussing life. We agree and we disagree. So we invite you to take part as we discuss current events and no telling what else. Whether the conversation is bad drivers, politics, or even earthworms, everyone has an opinion and is welcome to express it. Life is an adventure to be shared and celebrated here on the porch.
Fine. Welcome everybody to On the Porch, RVA. Glad you were able to join us. Glad you were able to find us. And it is a beautiful day on the porch. I want to, in addition to welcoming you, I want to welcome my new friend Tonia. And
who's got the giggles?
Tonia Emanuel has the giggles, and that is A-okay. Not a problem at all. And I am going to ask you a few questions along the way. I'm going to ask you to complete the introduction that I'm going to start with.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Tonia Emanuel is a founder of a couple of things. She has an entrepreneurial spirit and has been in the Richmond area for a while, has a son, and is interested in what's going on in our school system and artificial intelligence, and has a YouTube channel.
I do.
You don't sound thrilled about that one. Okay, so go ahead and fill in the gaps.
The gaps. Oh, there's so many gaps. So you did an excellent job. First of all, I want to thank you. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart for having this series, and for making me feel comfortable.
Oh.
And I really do appreciate it. So I'm really excited to be here.
You're more than welcome. I've been looking forward to this.
I've been looking
forward to this for a while.
Because you are a part of my group on Facebook. Is that how we really met? Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, because Facebook has given us so much range. And I started this Facebook group, which is one of the things that I've started. So when I think about who I am as a person, I really just think I'm a soul having a human experience, first of all. And so I still work in corporate America, but at my soul and at my core, like, to me, I'm a visionary. I'm a creator. And I just had to come to that place where I understood, at this point, I'm just creating. And whatever comes to me is just what comes to me. And if my soul or my gut says this is what I need to be doing, then I just follow it. Because when I don't, and I think with this, it always leads me to some place that's a long road. Yeah. And it's usually the hard way. Yeah. So these days I just take the easy way. And the easy way for me is to build relationships, see what we can develop together. How can we build our community? What can we do for our children? But I'm a single mom. I'm 48 years old. My kids might judge me and be like, lady, you turned 49 last year. I don't know. One of those ages. I was born in 75. Do the math. And so I have a 6-year-old son. I have a 27-year-old daughter. Both times I was a single mom. So I have like two worlds, And the thing is that the experience is so vast of the things that I have done and created, because I have Coach U 360 now, which is a coaching boutique, which started with life coaching, relationship coaching, and it's evolved into this thing that has now come in and brought in artificial intelligence because I work in healthcare IT as my day job.
Oh, okay. I know that the medical field has been using AI for a while.
Yeah.
We were having lunch with a nurse not long ago, and she was talking about all the different things that AI is being used for in surgeries and things like that. It is fascinating. A little scary, but fascinating.
But you've been using it. You use it in your car. You use it on your smartphone, your microwave.
Oh, now, my dream car is not going to have anything like that because it is a 65 Mustang.
And so, therefore, she will not be having anything like that.
Now, that was Coaching 360?
It's Coach YOU 360.
Coach U.
And
360. Okay.
What a journey that has been. And so
more info will be in the show notes.
Thank you. And so I started that in 2016, and it was really just about helping women entrepreneurs and executives who had a mission-based vision, but usually we get caught up so much in our day-to-day lives that we're not able to actually do the thing that we're really passionate about, that we have a purpose around. And you can make a lot of money in corporate America, but yet you still feel really unfulfilled. And that's how I felt. I felt like I did really great work. I supported a lot of great leaders. I've done a lot of great things. I made great money. But at the end of the day, there was something that always pulled me. And since I was 21 years old, I've always been passionate about our community, about kids, about reducing the recidivism rate, why people stay together, how do relationships work. And so it just culminates into this thing where you want children to have healthy relationships, healthy friendships and partnerships, and you want to be in a healthy community. You know, you don't want to care about who someone is, what their skin color is, or anything other than you and I are having an experience.
You're talking about foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we miss so much of that, worried about the things and all the isms that they have kind of conditioned us to experience. Like,
I have to, you guys, there is on the YouTube channel, which I'm going to put a link to this too, because this was a fascinating conversation. You were in a jam session with Garrett and Garrett, I believe.
Garrett and Aaron Page and Garrett.
Okay. Garrett was the one that brought up the melee on the boat.
Oh my gosh,
that was a wonderful conversation.
That conversation with the melee on the boat, I've actually mentioned.
That was hilarious.
So fascinating. And just the thought, right?
And I'm not saying what happened on the boat was hilarious. I'm saying this conversation was hilarious.
It was one of the best.
So I'm going to put the link to that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Because if you watch that session, you'll get a feel for what Parents Committed to Change is based on.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a lot of information out there as far as what's to learn, what's to do, who's to meet, and all of the practical stuff. But that video will help you to understand
I think so.
Who they are.
I really think it just, the whole texture, and interestingly enough, I also started a soccer team last year this time at Southampton Elementary School. And so we have the Southampton Tigers that we do at the school. And this year, in fall, I just enrolled 50 kids.
So that's coaching and coaching.
Coaching and coaching. Because I followed my gut. My son said he wanted to play on a soccer team. I didn't understand why our school didn't have those things. Why doesn't an elementary school with over 300 kids not have those facilities or access to sports for our children?
Well, what kind of explanation did you get when you went looking to get answers?
Well, it's not supported unless the parents do it, pretty much. Oh. So, like, Parks and Recs doesn't really do it at each schools like they used to. Because I'm in two different worlds, I had a kid who was graduated 2015, and now I have a younger child.
You had that comparison to make because
I had the comparison.
These two kids were in two different worlds.
In two different worlds, but still in the city. And so I know that when my youngest child was at G.H. Reed, they had football in elementary school. They had coaching and golf and tennis. But those are the places where kids get to create friendships with people who are not like them, not in the same age group. And they get to make that connection and build teams and camaraderie. And without that, with inside of the schools, you miss that. You know, and the kids are intermingling.
And the girls do need that just as much as the boys do. And I remember when golf became a big deal for kids in Richmond.
It should be a big deal.
With the Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods became that just, it's like golf all of a sudden just exploded. And it seems like Richmond does things in waves where if there's something that's happened that can get people excited, but I guess I'm looking for we were talking about consistency earlier.
Changes with, I think it changes with the leadership.
So the sustaining of that would have come from Parks and Rec, but it took parental momentum to get it started.
I think now it takes parental, but most parents are overworked, exhausted. You look at the statistics in Richmond, the people who make the most may work or live outside of the city lines, or their kids may be in private schools because they have the resources to put them in private schools. A lot of people stay too. Some people don't care, or they do care, but they feel like that's not whatever. I don't know what their excuses are. I can only go off of what I see. Yeah. But personally, for me, I just feel like the involvement of parents, and you can see it by PTA, and how big a PTA is, like the Parent Teacher Association. What are they doing? Who's rallying around? Who's your school board member? All those things are so critical. Who's your council person? Who lives in that particular neighborhood at the time? So when we're talking about the school when I'm talking about my division, Southampton, when we talked about Southampton and Francis, who was living in that neighborhood, why Huguenot or this thing was built.
And people come and go.
And go. Yeah. And so as the people come and go, depending on by status, who lived in there, with Jamerson or Wilder, who lived in these neighborhoods, resources will flow in and out. What companies donate, at the PTA level. It's a very interesting thing to see. And also how they cut up the lines and the zones for different schools. They change them. They don't stay the same. And then it brings in a different group, different sets of people, and they change resources. It's all based on your local, whoever is the local administration of the school board, of your council, different things. They all feed into each other, and that's why it's so important for parents to be involved and understand what's going on in each and every school, and to ask those questions inside of schools. So then when you ask me who I am, to me, I am a creator, but then I want to add an advocate, for understanding where we are, where we need to be, what are our kids going to need to know in the future. And the future to me is artificial intelligence. If this is where they're taking us, if they're opening it up to us, imagine how much they're not opening up to us. And so we have to be ready for these children who are taking a monumental quantum leap. Like where things went a little bit slow and progressed, into this technology age. We are here. And so just like that, my business also evolved. And so now a lot of things I incorporate into my business has a lot to do with AI and how fast I can move things. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. That does fill in some gaps. And when you talk about technology and thresholds and being on a threshold, I'm old enough that I remember being able to set the time on the VCR was a threshold.
For real.
That was the first thing I can remember where the adults couldn't figure out something that their kids did for them. And so
and just FYI, that was a thing.
For real.
That was a thing. It was not easy to set that. It was not just that plug and play whatever y'all do. It was a thing.
It's that's one of those memories because everybody in the house would look at each other, and my little brother was the one that ended up taking care of that for the family and setting it forward.
It's always a brother.
Yeah. Well, this was before computers where the things didn't set themselves. I mean, when we went through daylight savings time just the other day, it was a matter of going through the house and saying, okay, that set itself. Okay, that set itself. Okay, still got to set this one. You know.
Yeah.
And we are living in a time of transition. And I do see that as a threshold that is going to be way more impactful than something changing its own time.
And we have to come up to speed. And no matter how much we, AI is going to take away so many jobs, it's also going to give a lot of jobs. A lot of people have gotten crazy wealthy. Crazy. Well, when you look at social media, I don't even know if I go down I'm not even going to go down the TikTok road. That will just take us way off track. But
yeah. We've already talked about that a little bit. Let me tell you, we have strong feelings about the government and TikTok.
Yeah, we're going down another road. That's a whole other show. But when you look at what we're doing with AI so far as building and creating, I believe in the next 5 years, you will see your first billionaire solo entrepreneur.
But doing
between
what?
Understanding what you can create with artificial intelligence, the things you can do, you don't any longer need to know how to code. What can you build and create? I can literally take a flat piece of paper, write out a design, and have a technology take that design and make a blueprint of that thing for me. Those things are accessible to me. So the type of jobs that I am thinking about that are being created is understanding not just artificial intelligence itself, but what can we do with it? We are going to start looking at people who are more creative thinkers, who can think outside of the box. What can we do?
That's what I'm seeing, because I'm thinking of it like with the special effects in movies, and having gone from the days of Ray Harryhausen and the claymation and all of those, and then to the computers, which is basically code replacing the artwork. And when you were describing someone being able to do the drawing to then become the design, put that together with the 3D printer, and the idea, that's mind-boggling.
It is.
And I think that it's going to be a matter of just being able to conceive of the differences. That's going to be a real mental threshold.
And even in everyday, even if we want to start now, social media and how we look at writing show notes for a podcast and making your life easier, taking this podcast, dropping it down on something like Descript, having it transcribe the show notes, then being able to put the chapters on YouTube, and then, really taking down things that would have taken hours
come at me and going, what? It's losing control. I'm used to doing everything myself.
There's so much that you can, especially for creators. It is mind-blowing what you can do, but for everyday life, creating agendas for your kids, creating lessons plans for your kids. What you're going to find, I really do believe, is our kids are going to slowly start moving away from higher education. They're going to start looking at social learning, because no longer do I need to go to a classroom and sit inside of a classroom when I can learn it right here on YouTube. Yeah. You find me one thing. Yeah. That you want to learn about that you cannot find on YouTube. One thing. The truth. There's nothing.
That is the truth.
You want to go to Harvard? Oh, by all means, look up Harvard's free versions.
People will be going to the schools for the sororities and the fraternities, and yeah.
And what's that connection? Connection, networking. How can I understand what are you going to do with money and cryptocurrency and NFTs?
So you're looking at alternatives in a number of different dimensions, then a number of different strata of what it is to be a human, then, and looking at connectivity between people. Yeah. So let me ask you another pointed question while we're on that subject. And I realize I'm interrupting your
it'll all come out.
Your autobiography here.
You're allowed me to create.
So, are you going to be willing to trust yourself to the car that drives itself?
Eventually, not
now. Maybe not RVA. Maybe you'll wait and do that when you're visiting New York or Utah or California or someplace where they're already in common usage.
I will say there is technology where they're starting to even looking at truck drivers being replaced. Mm-hmm. And so at some point, I mean, it will become a thing. I wish I was the one inventing it. I wish I knew what company was going to do it successfully.
Yeah,
I don't know I don't think it's Tesla.
I had heard that that trucking would be the first industry that would really be, and of course, my science fiction background, my first thought was the Johnny Taxi from Total Recall. Mm-hmm. But
and so then, what do you flip into if you're a truck driver? If you're a smart truck driver, okay. So what's the technology now? Mm-hmm. Who is looking at creating this type of thing? So do the deep work. How do you do the deep work? You have Perplexity AI. Look it up. Okay. Nobody's Googling anymore, dear. I mean, somebody is. Perplexity.ai.
Perplexity.
Yep.
Okay, there's another one. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask you one of my rote questions that everyone has to endure. Mm-hmm. Okay. What book would you reread if you were able to reread a book again for the first time, not counting the Bible or Orwell's Animal Farm?
Oh, that's hard. Geesh, just one, huh?
Mm-hmm. Ooh. As if you could read it fresh without any memory and experience everything all over again for the first time.
That's a hard question.
And you can tell I didn't give her these questions in advance.
I'm going to go...
I'll let you think about it. Because my second question is also about books, and it's a little easier.
Okay, what's the second question? That was a hard question. I'm usually not thrown. Okay. But if you ask me about a book, I'm really thrown.
Okay, so the second question is, what book do you currently have that is your standby for, it's like it's in your car when you have work done in your car or you're waiting for jury duty. It's the one that's just sitting there and...
Okay, honestly, I have listened to it over and over again. I do not own it as in the physical book, but I do go back to it. So Transurfing Reality. And the book was originally written in Russian, and Transurfing Reality is... Transurfing Reality.
Surfing.
You know what? I don't want to get the wrong title. It might just be Transurfing, but it's...
I'm going to look that up.
Zealand. What is his name? Vlad Zealand. Zealand. And I do... go back to the chapters over and over again. Transfer Reality is written by Brian Scott, which is referencing this book. So it's not that one. It's just Transurfing, I believe. Okay. And no, I definitely go back to that book over and over again. It's deep.
That's your go-to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, if I want to reset and just for the last 2 years, definitely. Okay. And then I was torn, but I really do think that Unbound, I read books by people's names I can't even pronounce, but it's called Unbound. It's pink, not the Unbound by Brene Brown and the other lady, but it's Unbound, and it's like Urbana something. Her name sounds very Russian, so I'll get you the name. Okay. But Unbound I would reread, and I have read it twice. And something about the energy of the book as a woman just really was profound for me.
Mm-hmm. So to be able to go back and reread it without any pre-knowledge.
Definitely.
To be hit again.
I like that.
Okay. Cool.
Woo.
I have another question, and that is I tell you what, let me go to my other question. If you would, tell us about your darkest moment, darkest day, darkest season. And I'm not looking for the gritty details, but I'd like for you to tell us about it so that you can also tell us how you came out of it, what it was that allowed you to put it behind you.
I can do, you'll get a little bit of grit, but I was sitting on the edge of my bed, and I think I was breastfeeding, which was not a good experience for me because my son, and this was recent, so in 2017, and I was breastfeeding my son on the side of the bed as a single mom. I was completely stressed out. I had to go back to work. I was remote, but it's still the pressure of having a new baby, having to work, have the baby, take care of at the same time. And I remember being so stressed out and hearing those pumps. And I was freaking. My hormones were just on 10. And I was exhausted, sleep deprived. And I remember taking my head and slamming it into the wall. And it left a dark mark there from my makeup. And I sat there and I just looked at that thing and cried and just thought to myself, I cannot believe at my age, at 42 years old, I would have made such a horrible decision like this and become a single mother again for a second time. And when I sat there, I just remember thinking I just wanted to end it all, like literally, like end it for all of us, because this was the worst decision that I could have ever made in my life.
But you didn't stay there.
I did not, no. And what brought me out of it? God. I that's just the base for me at the end of the day. About anybody else.
Not even the ABCs of it. It's just
that's it.
Well, sometimes he does operate that way.
It just was.
I believe in miracles. I really do.
It had to have been, because I do not know how to look at the 6 years from that moment to now and where I am. It's like crossing the Grand Canyon.
When you were in the one place, and then now you're there in the other place, at what point, did you just gut it out? You say I got a therapist. You've learned to trust your gut.
Yeah.
You've learned to go with your gut.
I knew that I needed help and I couldn't do it by myself. Number one.
And then so then it was one foot in front of the other. And I'm wondering if there was a moment where you were like, okay, God, I see it.
Yes. Standing in my kitchen, I took my son to the babysitter, and it was me and the coffee pot, and it was dead silent. And I remember reaching over and taking the coffee and pouring it and holding it like this. And I was like, what is this? And all I heard was grace. Grace. And it was so gentle and so pure. It took the breath out of me, and I almost fainted, literally, in the floor. And I just remember sitting down and just crying about how simple it all was.
That is grace. That is. I've experienced that. That is grace. Girl, I'm going to cry now. I had other questions for you. Now you're going to make me cry. Woo! Y'all watch out. All right. We're gonna go talk about some other stuff. Yeah. Whew. We're going out on a high note this time. And I had questions for you. I was going to ask you your thoughts on PEI. Look it up. I was going to ask your thoughts on school choice.
Oh, don't you do me. Y'all better bring me back another day.
We're going to have a part 2. All right. So, have a wonderful day out there. Thank you so much, Tonia, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Internet world, and all you people out there, for joining us. I hope to do this again real soon. And in the meantime, get out there on your porches. Get out and love on some people. Get loved on. And live life. Live life. Bye now.
On the Porch RVA is produced and directed by John Hunley. Your host is Tracy Hunley. Join our community on Facebook and Instagram. Email us at tomatlh@outlook.com. Visit us at www.tomastudiosrva.com. Video of these episodes are on YouTube and Rumble. On the Porch is a 2024 Toma Studios production.